he's actually able, they're physical beings. He can actually make contact with them and stick cleavers in their heads and push them downstairs. There's a lot of falling downstairs in this film as well.
Yeah,
I think 4 or 5 tumbles I counted down the stairs between him and monsters he's throwing down the stairs.
Well, like, he falls down the main stairs, he falls down the little attic stair thing that they pull down.
Well, he throws 2 different monsters down the stairs as well.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of stair falling. Action. Hey everybody, it's Reno Dino Valentino, head doctor at the Asylum of the Insane and Goreship, the ship that sails along the river Styx, back again with another episode of Judgmental Horror Junkies.
Oh yeah,
the horror movie watching book club, I guess, where we watch horror movies and then talk about them with each other. And this week, month, year,
this month was my pick.
Yes, just in time for the last day of December.
Oh yeah,
you've got a joyous Christmas movie.
I like to switch it up because we had a couple of intense opening episodes of movies. We had Hellraiser and we had Sweetheart, and those were really both gritty and riveting. And
they take themselves seriously.
Yeah, they're very intense.
Yeah.
Whereas I wanted to have a little bit of lightheartedness to send out at the end of the year, and that was I chose Deadstream.
Yes.
And Deadstream is a very awesome, in my opinion, awesome horror comedy.
Army of Darkness meets YouTube.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like a
YouTube influencer.
Blair Witch mockumentary style filming that they do with like Paranormal Activity, or I should say Haunted House with the Marlon Wayans. You know, that's a better, closer, accurate representation. But the intent of this movie is more along the lines of let's have Evil Dead meet Blair Witch, and I thought it was hilarious.
It was very
and
funny.
I had to recommend it to you.
It was very funny. There's like 2 or 3 scenes I made notes of that I was like, good writing, good stuff. And the guy that plays Sean,
Joseph Winter. He captures perfectly the annoying, like, YouTube person. I knew.
Even when he's scared, even when he's, like, on the verge of death, he still he can't turn it off.
YouTube, and I feel like YouTube.
Yeah, and I feel like it says something about those influencers, and, like, they turn... Like Stone Cold Steve Austin always talked about how, as a wrestler, he was just turning his real self up to 11. And, like, there's something about this movie that says that when those influencers do it, much like professional wrestlers and method actors, they don't know how to turn it back off. Even when they're being, like, chased by fucking ghosts, they can't dial that back down.
Ghost, witch, demon things.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was funny. And I deliberately picked this because I watched it. I really enjoyed the horror comedy aspect. I love all genres of the horror subgenres of horror movies. I love them all. But horror comedy here lately has been like a nice little reprieve from some of the intensity that people are going after, because I've seen a lot of dark and gruesome, gritty movies over this year. So Deadstream was a nice little alleviation, and I knew that it would strike a chord with you because we both have this same disdain for YouTubers and TikToker celebrities and stuff like that, and this was the perfect encapsulation of... Fuck, I wish I would see people like the Paul brothers or David Dobrik or these annoying YouTubers get their comeuppance in doing a stupid shenanigan stunt, and this is what they get.
Yes.
I think that this was the appropriate one because it would speak to both of our temperaments for dealing with YouTube people.
No.
And I just gotta ask, initial thoughts. Your initial thoughts.
Okay, I want to read to you my first note, and that will let you know my initial thoughts. And when I say initial thoughts, I don't mean my initial thoughts for the movie. I mean the first thing I thought while starting the movie. And that was 3 seconds in, and it's safe to ask, what the hell am I watching? But to answer your actual question, overall, I enjoyed it very much. Like, I laughed a lot. Like, there were a couple parts, which we'll get to, where I was like, we probably didn't need that scene, or that part felt a little trite and overdone. Yeah. But overall, a big fan, and I too am a fan of the comedy horror genre, and this one scratched all the right spots in that for me.
And so, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, just so the people know, Deadstream. This is the plot synopsis of Deadstream. It is a disgraced internet personality tries to win back his followers by live streaming himself at an abandoned haunted house. When he accidentally unleashes a vengeful spirit, his comeback event becomes a fight for his life. This movie stars Joseph Winter as Sean Rudy and Melanie Stone as Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Oh, yes, so much to talk about in such a short time. But yes, this was very interesting because I had the same question when they initially opened up the first couple seconds of the show. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
So yeah, the opening scene is of Sean covered in trash saying, "I am trash," and then ducking down into a trash can. And I knew very little about this. Like, I knew it had something to do with a YouTube person. I didn't know that the entire movie would be from his YouTube channel, like what he was streaming. He had a hell of a setup, though. Like, he had little, like, cameras set up all across the house, and you actually follow him setting up every camera, so you know where. You get a very good layout of the house.
Yeah, there's cameras all over the house in every angle. He's got a body rig set so you can see his face. You can see what's happening, like, over his shoulder. He's carrying around his laptop, live streaming, and he's also got a tablet. So he's got multiple facets covered of every angle.
And it's not one of those, like, typical horror movie mansions where it's just huge and, like, 2 minutes in and you're lost and you don't know where you are. Like, the house is relatively small and relatively laid out in such a way that every time he is moving from one room to another, there aren't any camera tricks. It's how the house is laid out perfectly. Like, there's no cheats, which I appreciated, because a lot of time you have your horror movie houses, and if you actually tried to map them out, you realize you're on a movie set, because there's no way that the architecture could have worked that way.
It added more realism back to it, because it was this old school kind of country farmhouse style layout. It was only 2 stories, and I was like, man, that's so more realistic. There's a small porch, there's a couple doors on either side of the porch, and then you just one bottom floor and then upstairs with a couple rooms. Yeah. That is it. Yeah. That's it. There's maybe a small attic space up top, but all you focus on is the first 2 floors. And I was like, that's perfect, because all these other movies have large formatted layout houses that you're like, wait, which fucking room are we at? Which part of the house are we at? And sometimes that does go back, I will say, a little bit of peek behind the curtain from filming the movie that we filmed. Houses in the movie are not the same house, interior or outside.
Oh, absolutely not, yeah.
From the movie that we filmed, the house that we showed on the opening sequence of the movie
is not
a
the
completely
indoor.
different house than what we filmed the actual kill scenes in and a chunk of the movie when we filmed it. And
so, if that was true here, you couldn't tell it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And I will say this, something else I noticed thought of halfway through this movie. You've got a thing for trapped in a house movies, because, like, The Collector, which is, like, if not your favorite, one of your favorites of all time.
Collector and The Collection is absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
you know me too well.
And I'm like, yeah, you got to type. You got to type Goreship.
I blame that on when I was younger, like preteens, early teens, and the Saw movies became huge.
Yeah.
I blame that as like a subconscious rooting into my brain. I don't ever intentionally mean to like fall for these movies. Yeah. But something about it speaks to me about the tension, the fear of being stuck somewhere versus being like able to run amok and try and get away from someone, like it's say in a jungle or a city.
I think that makes sense. I think there's
what's scarier than being stuck at your house where you're supposed to feel comfort and safety?
Before COVID, I would have had a different answer than I have now. But no, I think all horror movies, like the type of horror movies that draw people, is a combination of, like you say, what they were shown when they were younger, and deep-seated psychological issues. Like, I'm scared of little things. And I think that's because the responsibility of children terrifies me, and I never want to have kids. But it's also because in the 80s, I watched Critters, and Gremlins, and Puppet Master, and Child's Play, and fucking even like Poltergeist and Exorcist. All about little small people fucking running amok and causing chaos. And I thought that shit was awesome.
And I guess the same applies to me with, clowns. I can't do clowns at all to this day. It is a very big phobia for me, like, to the point where I get violent
Oh, I know. I'm super sad we're never going to get to do It or Killer Clowns from Outer Space on this.
As much and like, you know, I want to watch the new Terrifier movies. I've heard nothing but good things about Terrifier. I want to watch Terrifier 2 solely because Chris Jericho is in it.
I know, right?
And I want to watch it, but it sucks. I can't get past the mental block of it. Just like stuff with snakes really it's not as bad with snakes as clowns, but snakes, like watching Anaconda fucked me up.
Well, you're in the same league as Indiana Jones, so you got good company.
I mean,
why did it have to be snakes or clowns or snakes wearing clown makeup?
Yeah, it's like Lego Batman, where he's like, "I become your worst fear." Snakes? No, I'm a clown. A clown snake? Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, no, that would be my absolutely worst fear. Snake clown.
Did you see the College Humor where Batman gets sprayed by the Scarecrow and he's like, "It's a Roomba, it's a Girl Scout," like the stuff he's scared at that made no sense.
Yes, I love the Batman College Humor skits.
They're
so like it's especially with the Scarecrow when I was like, that is a comedy horror right there. We need more of that in real life.
I actually wrote back to this movie.
Sorry, we got off on a tangent.
No, and we will do it again, and you'll deal with it. Yeah. Back to the movie, though. I wrote, when he described the premise of his YouTube channel, I was like, I'll admit, I like that premise. So would the Scarecrow. Like, I wrote that. I like the idea of someone like you watching someone just trying to conquer their fears one by one. It's a neat idea. Like, this guy, as you find out as it goes on, is a piece of shit. And I think I'm not sure if he's legit. I think some of those fears are just hammed up for his
I mean, he does.
How many fears do you have? Like, if you were going to do that show, how many episodes would it have? 2. Clown snakes, done. Like, even if you're a scared person, how many episodes could you get out of that? Like, I might could get 4. Like,
hey, maybe he has OCD. Maybe he has some type of, mental congenital disorder where he can't focus because too many things bother him, like a hypochondriac. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe it's something along those lines. Of course, they're never going to give a character detail like that. But I'll tell you what, my first impression, this was literally my first impression after I was watching it, and I rewatched it again just to make sure I still have the same impression.
Okay.
I said, God damn it, this makes me think of these modern-day annoying YouTubers and TikTok celebs that do fucked up stuff and outlandish stuff, and just to be mean to get famous, and they don't care if it's just their friends, strangers, or like a bystander. It reminds me of Jake and Logan Paul, David Dobrik, all the people that make millions of dollars off of pain and suffering from just trying to be funny and edgy and get clout.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to get your take on what happens in the... Would you call it a stunt that winds up hurting the man and basically makes his career go south? Because this is what sets the movie off. Him losing his following after a
bum fight.
Yeah, after doing this stupid stunt, and the guy died.
Yeah.
And he's getting blamed for it. He loses all his sponsorships. Just like you see in real life.
Yeah.
Just like you see, certain famous former billionaire...
And just like in real life,
rappers,
it lasts about 30 seconds, and then he's back.
Yeah, but, I mean...
Tell me true, because this goes back to this thing where I don't believe cancel culture is real or permanent. If Kanye West shut the fuck up tomorrow, tell me in 6 months he wouldn't be back to, like, wherever he was in the rap hierarchy.
Yeah, that's real. That's just like real life.
Yeah.
There was some stuff that was like, you deserve to be fucking hacked to pieces, you hack. And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, people had bad stuff to say about him.
And so, like, my other thought was, oh, fuck, whatever happens next, I hope he dies or gets maimed, because he definitely deserves after that stupidity.
Yeah.
And, of course, he makes a fake-ass apology video. Mm-hmm. The one that we've all become so accustomed to from YouTubers who get busted doing really messed up stuff, or they get caught lying, and when they get called out by the internet or modern social media, they decide, all right, I gotta double down and make an apology video and have the one single tear start coming to my eye, and that's exactly what Sean did to try and apologize. And that apology was so short-lived because he immediately segued into, but here's my next thing I'm going to do to bounce back to get your guys' love back.
Yep. He's like, I'm back on all social media platforms, and here's my next stunt. Like, yeah. Because, of course, I mean... And here's the thing, like, he was talking about how for however many months he wasn't allowed back on, how he was not making any money and he was eating ramen and blah, 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 blah. And there is a certain, like, it's kind of like, I don't know, not to use my regular whipping boy of capitalism, but like, if that's how you make money, and you need to make money, so you have a place to live, and they keep your lights on, and you don't starve to death and stuff, then your apology will be insincere.
Exactly.
And will come quickly because you want to get back on that gravy train. So how anyone can believe, in the same way when a politician apologizes, or how anyone can just assume that an apology is sincere when it happens so quickly after the fact. It's the old adage of like, you're not sorry, you're sorry you got caught.
Exactly.
Or you're sorry that you actually had to face repercussions for something you did.
Exactly, and we see that so much. And I think that's why, again, this movie struck a chord with me, because I don't know, I feel like this last couple of years we've seen a lot of that really amping up, with people finally calling these fake-ass YouTubers and TikTokers out on their bullshit. Hell, even Instagram celebs are getting brought down fucking finally, and they're losing money, and they're doubling down. They're like, I didn't mean any of what I said. I wasn't trying to be rude or hurtful or transphobic or bigoted or insensitive. You know, like, I have my own traumas. And then they add, side note, I don't mean to discredit anybody's personal traumas or disorders, but then those YouTubers and celebrities will chime in and say, I have PTSD, I have bipolar, I have depression. They will start justifying what they did by using their own issues mentally.
If I was your PR guy and you were going to do that, I was like, separate video.
Yeah.
The apology video should just be your apology. No excuses. No, like you say you're sorry. List the behavior you're sorry for. Say how you're going to do better. And that's it. Now, if you want to do another video down the road about your own problems, that's fine. But if you lump it in with the apology video, both are tarnished and neither mean anything. Make 2 videos and separate it by at least a fucking week, man.
How did you feel about the complete 180 of his video when it starts off with him being quote-unquote sad? He's like, guys, I was so depressed after what happened. I felt so guilty about what happened to that man. I never meant for that. I was struggling, and now I'm living off ramen. Yeah. And, like, it's been hard for me. I've been dealing with a lot, too, after losing that lawsuit. And I want to make it right to you guys. So here's my next stunt. I was like, how did you feel about that fucking douchebag 180?
At that point, I was still willing to give him the benefit of the doubt.
You're a better man
because
than me.
Later he confesses that the apology was bullshit. Later he devotes the rest of his video to the blacks and Latinos. At that point, he lost me. Yeah. But early on, I'm like, you know what? I don't know shit about you except that you do a lot of funny stunts, and at this point, the bum thing hadn't even come out yet. I knew he'd got quote unquote canceled for something, but I didn't know the details of that, and I was like, all right, he was gone for a while. I didn't catch how long he was gone.
It was only a couple months.
Yeah,
it was only a couple months.
Yeah, I caught that later, but I didn't catch it at that time. Yeah. And then he comes back. He's sorry. And his video is about things he's scared of, so now he's going to go to a house.
Yep,
and I'm like, okay, that's kind of good, because if the problem was that you kept fucking other people over, you're going somewhere by yourself. That's good. Okay, you're moving in the right direction, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt for about another 20 minutes.
That's a lot longer than I would expect it to, because, I mean, shit, even his interactions with Chrissy when she arrives, I was like, oh, he's so...
Well, that's about 25 minutes. So, it was past my...
It seemed like it went quicker for me when I was watching it.
Well, I mentioned that, like, the first 25 minutes, nothing, like, supernatural.
Yeah, you
all
just
things
that
can be explained.
Human backstory basis for it, and
yeah,
I thought that the bum thing came out like right after the montage of all his YouTube shenanigans came, and then it's like YouTuber slammed for horrible thing gone wrong.
It said horrible stunt gone wrong, but we don't get, or I didn't. If they say the details, I missed it. But one of the 4 times he's hiding in the closet.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
he straight up confesses.
Rambling. He's like, I never meant for that man to die.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to be a joke.
Yeah, but at this point, he's standing outside. He says he's going to this house, And he comes to the house, and he's wearing this shirt with the found footage shirt. And I was, and maybe that's why I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, because I was like, okay, that's a funny shirt. I would buy that shirt. So, I also like that me and him scream the same. We both have a very high squeaky, like,
yeah. Okay, but all right. So, out of all the things to do in a horror movie, I know he didn't intend to wind up into a horror movie,
right?
But let's just say you watch a lot of horror movies in real life.
Yep.
You go to a haunted house. You know that this is the most haunted house in your state. That
will allow you to film there.
Yes. Yes.
One of the funny lines I really like.
I'm allowed to be here for.
Yeah.
I got permission to be here.
Yes, I got permission.
Yeah. And again, that goes back to the YouTube content stuff of people getting busted for being in places they're not supposed to be. But anyways, so he gets there, gets out the car. He's like, and to prove that I'm not going to chicken out, takes his car keys out and shuts them in the woods.
I'm protecting me from myself.
Yep.
He says that twice. Once when he's throwing the spark plugs, and once when he's dropping the key. Because he parks the car, he takes the spark plugs out of the car and tosses them into the woods. And he says, this is because I am a coward, and I am protecting myself from myself. And that is either part of his coward gimmick, or he generally thought he was going to leave before the night was over. Because we haven't mentioned this yet, but his sponsors, his career is riding on this. He's made a deal with his sponsors that he can come back for this one event as long as he obeys certain guidelines. Can't cuss. He has to check out every scary thing that happens. A couple other things. And he has to, I think, stay the whole night.
The self-centering became really, really funny. Like, in the initial, 20, 25 minutes of, the intensity. Yeah. And he's just like, oh, fudge, oh, fudge, oh, fudge, oh, fudge. Holy shite! He's like, I didn't cuss. I didn't. He kept reminding the camera he did not cuss.
And then when he finally does, he's like, okay, I'm going to do this on 3 strikes scenario. That's strike 1. And he literally does say 3 cuss words. And he does strike 1, strike 2, and strike 3.
Oh my God, there's just so much.
But yeah, so he takes he looks around for a way in to this old farmhouse. And he finds a window that he can crowbar open and crawl in. He leaves the crowbar out there, which I was like, first mistake. Keep the crowbar. That is a weapon. And then he comes in and he padlocks it behind him. And then he throws the key down this, grate that's in the floor.
An air vent, yeah.
Yeah, because once again, he's got to protect him from himself. He's going to lose all his sponsors if he leaves. So he's making sure he can't. Because he's a coward and he might run at any moment.
It's essentially, there's no selflessness in this story of him. It is all about self-preservation. That's all this is about, is self-preservation. There's no real genuine remorse at the beginning of any of this.
Correct.
It's all self-preservation. These tactics are just like, I can't lose my money. I can't lose my money. I can't lose my money.
Yeah, I've grown accustomed to a certain way of life. And you can tell how rich he is because later he's in his car and he's just got Slim Jims all over the back. Like those things aren't $1.39 a piece.
I mean, you might be speaking to the wrong person here because I don't want you looking at my back seat right now. But
dude, if
there's one thing I got in common.
If you're making that Slim Jim money and you ain't even telling me about your hookup,
you go to the dollar store and I can get a pack of 14 mini Slim Jims for $1.35. Okay, don't even play me like that. And you know what? It's an hour drive to come.
His was a deluxe.
Yeah, it's
true. It was an extra long, extra thick.
I gotta keep them on me for when I have these long drives to come see you, buddy.
I understand. Hey, I got you a Christmas present.
Which I am super grateful for.
Yeah.
Happy holidays to everyone who's listening.
Happy right after Christmas is when I think this will be let out.
Oh, yeah.
Happy New Year's.
Happy belated holidays and a Happy New Year.
Yes.
Hopefully 23 is not your 2020.
Yep. So our dude's got a headlamp and a head camera, and he's looking around, and I saw that someone had spray painted a pot leaf on the wall, and I was like, all right, we're going to be okay. They're in here smoking pot. He finds some needles. They're doing drugs in here. This can't be a haunted house. People are in here getting high all the time. But then you
find the pentagram spray paint. Doesn't every haunted house or quote-unquote haunted house have to have some type of pentagram or upside-down cross spray painted? I feel like that's kind of a prerequisite.
When you have abandoned houses in small towns, people get bored AF, and they try and summon demons, and they drink, and they smoke. In these houses,
heroin, stuff like
there were a few near where I lived that I used to read the Bible in. So there were a few around me in my day. So I know how these houses look before and after I get through with them.
Trust me, as a young skater punk who broke into plenty of abandoned buildings just to go find shit to skate in, I have seen my fair share of weird paintings, spray paintings from either homeless people or drugged out people.
Yeah,
so, I'm right there with you. I am totally right there with you.
But weirdly, whenever I saw that stuff, I felt safer. I was just like, okay, people have been here before me.
Yeah, it seems normal.
And they're just getting fucked up in here, so it's probably fine.
Obviously, the people who did this, they didn't get murdered.
Yeah, and he pulls out this little map he drew, and I'm like, where'd you get that from?
How'd you get a layout of the house like that?
Yeah, did you look up the schematics online and then print them out or something?
And the whole reason why he's
weird.
there at this particular haunted house is because of the background story, the lore of why this place is haunted and how, it used to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm a little scatterbrained right now.
No, that's fine.
That there was supposed witchcraft going on in the farmhouse?
No, it was what was her name? Millie?
Yeah, she killed her child.
She was Mildred. Yeah, Mildred was a struggling poet who was also kind of unstable, and so her father bought her this house as kind of like a dowry to try and like force a man to marry her, and she ended up like going crazy in the house and like killing people and
specifically
forcing them to enjoy her poetry.
She killed the man that she wound up getting to marry her.
Yeah, because
she killed the child.
From my understanding, he was I thought I turned that off. Whatever. Yeah, from my understanding, he was like a publisher, and she thought he was going to publish her poetry.
Yeah, and he was like,
it's not
terrible.
Very good. Yeah. And so in a rage, she killed him and their one or two children.
I thought it was just the one.
Well, another, like, more kids end up getting killed there.
Yeah.
The house keeps getting resold, and people keep getting murdered there. So that's why he's at the house.
Yeah. But the base background story is the scorned poet who was bad at writing killed her publisher husband because he was like, look, your shit's not good, honey.
Which, I mean, you should have said that before you married her, man. Be honest. I know you were lying because you wanted this nice house.
Yeah, free housing, man. Even back then, I'm sure housing was not cheap.
You know, when your father sets up a dowry for you, it's kind of him saying, no one's ever going to love you for you. Things used to be fucked up back then. That's all I'm saying.
And you know what's also really messed up?
Like, I just want to be clear. The only way I'm going to be able to, like, saddle a man to you is with a house.
And the messed up part about that is, like, not only is he like, yo, a house is the only thing that's going to get you a hubby.
Yeah.
But on top of that, he's like, you're not very pretty. Like, you're kind of average.
But she is. She is pretty.
Yeah, but, and that's another thing.
Her dad's a jerk.
Yeah, it made me kind of, like, question mark, because they're describing in the background story about how she was, like, a very unappealing woman, and I looked at the picture that he finds of them later. I was like, well, obviously for the big reveal when he finds the picture. Yeah. But I was like, oh, she's not ugly. She's actually
fine.
Yeah, she's a regularly attractive woman.
Beautiful smile.
Yeah. Crazy smile.
So he's doing the tour of the house, talking about each room and what scary thing happened there. And in the kitchen, over the sink, the doors were ripped off in the sink, and over it was spray painted something, and it looked like it said, "I got out," was spray painted over the sink. And I thought, at some point, is this dude going to dive under the sink to escape the house or not? And then I just realized it was some random-ass graffiti, because it never comes into play in the movie. But I like it. It's good.
There's a lot of red herrings.
Well, I like it because the spray paints that you normally see, where, like, I think "help" was written in one of the rooms. I'm like, okay, that's normal. Mm-hmm. But "I got out" is kind of, that's a new one for me.
There's also always that one room or wall that has an eye, like an all-seeing eye drawn on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was there too.
Yeah.
And I thought that came into the occult stuff. But you know what? We got to talk about the main thing that led to the awesomeness of him walking around and describing the layout of the house.
His Castlevania video game music
Yes,
soundtrack.
I cackled at his continual need for his own self-provided and produced heroic, dramatic music on his boombox. He's like, wait, before we start. Hits his tape recorder thing, starts playing the dramatic music to, like, basically make him seem like this awesome narrator.
Yeah, and it was a literal mixtape, so how hipster is that? Also, all of his homemade music sounded like 8-bit Nintendo music, which I loved, because it all sounded like it was from Castlevania 1, but it was very funny that he was like, this song's also available on Spotify and iTunes. I'm like, I'll just get the Castlevania tune. Thank you. I don't need your weird knockoff version.
It was just funny because rather than having the people who edit the movie add it in, they're like, dude, fuck production. We'll save money. Have the guy that we're recording actually play the music so it can be even more justifiable. It's like, oh, okay, so that's why there's music playing. Because, it would kind of take you out of it if you're watching a quote-unquote found footage live stream movie.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden on the live stream there's this overwhelming music starting to rise up from behind him as he's speaking. You're like, where the fuck is that coming from?
Yeah.
I like the reason behind why they did is to basically eliminate the whole, people questioning that.
Yeah. Dude, back in my day, I used to do mixtapes. Well, they were mixed burn CDs, but it was the same thing.
Same.
For camping trips or vacations, or even when I'd go to amusement parks to wear my earphones while I was riding the roller coasters. Like,
oh, you were that guy.
I was that guy.
You were that guy.
I would go on trips with my friends and just like have my headphones on the whole time.
So he gets through walking through the different rooms. He goes upstairs. He finally starts making a base camp headquarters in the main room of what was Mildred's room.
Right. And right across from what I called, or what he called the paranormal G-spot, which was where she hung herself in the hallway.
Oh, boy.
Good line. Good line.
There's quite a few funny-ass lines in this movie that you can't get past.
Yep.
And so he goes in, he sets up home base camp, whatever you want to call it, in Mildred's room, and starts getting all the cameras hooked up to the inside of the wall, planting them at random spots. Just stick you here, I'm going to stick you there, I'm going to stick you over here.
Puts one in the bathroom, where I would kill for a bathroom as big as the one they had in that house. Like, that was a small house, big bathroom.
Yeah. Came in clutch, though.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, because as he's doing this, he's starting to walk around, you start hearing noises. And then we get introduced to superfan Chrissy.
Yeah. It's
And Chrissy is played by Melanie Stone.
Yeah, Chrissy was lovely. Like, I liked Chrissy as soon as I met her, because you could just look in her eyes and tell she was unstable, and I'm a sucker for that.
I was going to say, as soon as I saw Chrissy, I knew she was sus.
Yeah.
Second thing I said, never trust a super fan with a sweet smile.
Nope.
That was my second thought. I was like, never trust them.
One of the people actually commented, never trust a pretty girl. That was one of the comments on the stream.
That was my next thought. Was like, I love the realism of the live streaming, and the fans hilarious, or their fucked up comments as he's experiencing the paranormal shit.
Yeah.
As well as just random stuff of talking to Chrissy. He's like, oh, you guys gonna fuck? Like, random comments was like, oh, here comes the dick.
Yeah, and this is where I wrote 20 minutes and still no ghosts. Still entertained. Which is impressive. And I was also going to say, much like the movie Sweetheart, he has to carry this movie by himself for the first long time, and he does very well. And that takes talent. Like, when you're the only thing in camera, and all the interactions are just you, like, I think you have to be an above average talent to do that. Like, the girl from Sweetheart did it. He does it. Like, also like that he's obviously has a sponsorship with the Thunder drink, that energy drink that he's chugging through the whole thing.
It's like their ripoff of Powerade.
Yeah, and he offers her one, and as soon as he offers, she's like, no.
Well, and of course, my first question when she pops up in the house, I was like, how the fuck did she get in here?
I did not think of that till he mentioned it.
Yeah, he's like, wait, I fucking locked that shit.
Yeah, he mentions that way later, though.
Yeah, that was my first thought. I was like, wait a minute, he just locked that shit, and like,
I didn't even...
I was like, unless there's a secret hole.
I feel like I should have thought of it. Like, when he said it, I was like, oh, yeah! I felt very dumb.
Because very shortly after she arrives, she's like, oh, yeah, blah, 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 talking to him about, like, how cool this is. And, she had to show because she knew that he was going to be doing the live stream. And she's like, I couldn't not meet you.
Yeah.
And then that's when we start hearing the weird fucking noises, and all the paranormal stuff finally starts popping off.
When Chrissy is talking to him, he mentions, she's like, oh, we need to do things to bring the ghost out. He's like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. I'm a salt lick for ghosts. They come out for me for nothing. And that was another line I very much like. Yeah, what ends up setting everything off is that inside the closet, there's it's basically a rough outline of a hand with a bunch of weird symbols on it. And he rips it off the wall and looks at it, and then gets freaked out and kind of crumples it and throws it away. Unbeknownst to him,
that was a sign of protection to keep the fucking ghost locked at bay.
Unbeknownst to him, that innocent-looking sheet of paper that he curled up to, like, get a heart react on his YouTube video was the only thing keeping him safe from the Deadites.
Well, because also, he was like, I don't know, guys, what do you think I should do? He's reading the comments, he's like, should I get rid of it? And all the comments are like, yo, fuck that. No, that's a no-no, just rip it. And then other people are like, don't touch it, man, get the fuck out of there, that's a ward.
Yeah.
Other people are like, no, I know that symbol, don't do it, it's helping you. And of course, you don't realize that those comments until later in the movie, when someone fucking, like, starts talking to him on the stream, like, dude, this is...
they keep sending him videos of fans who are, like,
explaining
translating Latin and figuring out what the symbols
are.
Because it shows one of the advantages of the internet is that it is the sum of all of our knowledge. So if you are looking on the internet, you can get answers to almost anything. So his fans... he'll just throw out a random comment like, oh, I wonder what that was. And then one of his fans will actually look it up. You know, they'll Wikipedia it and send him a video of them talking about it. Like, one of them was like an old lady. One was like a 12-year-old boy. Like, apparently he's got a varied and wide fan base.
Yeah. There's people who just be watching all over the world. They're like, hey, I like this guy. Oh, he's in trouble. I'm going to help him. I have knowledge of this one particular thing.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. So,
And so him and Chrissy start exploring the house as a unit, and he's using her as like a back shield. He's walking forward, she's walking behind him, and he like strapped a camera to her head. He's got a weird thing about strapping cameras to people and things' head, just everything. Like, he attaches one to a spear point later, a machete, a cleaver, a monster's head.
But his logic...
he's putting them all... Slim Jim, he puts cameras on everything.
Yeah. His logic was like, gotta get the action shots.
Yeah. And also, he can walk forward, and through her camera, he's got eyes in the back of his head now.
Like, he's literally holding a laptop, so as he's walking straight, can see what's behind them.
And he's saying, we're not splitting up ever.
He's like, that's horror movie 101.
And Chrissy says nothing, which I thought was interesting. That was the first time that I started to, like...
question her?
I suspected her at first just because, like... You know, super fans are almost always crazy in movies and TV shows. It's just kind of a gimmick. But then, I realized that the YouTube format of this made me question everything. I was questioning if he was actually staging all this for her. I was questioning if, like... the stuff that was in here he had put in before he even started filming. Like, because it was this fucking YouTube reality concept,
you can't trust it.
I didn't trust him, I didn't trust her, I didn't trust shit.
You thought maybe all of it was just a work.
Yeah. I was like, is this a work or a shoot, man?
Yeah.
I need to know.
Well, luckily you get your answer very shortly after that.
Right.
Like, almost immediately after the let's not split up thing. Go ahead and tell him what happens, Dino.
Well, first of all, we have the thing where he's yelling at her about how did she get in. He's like, you're not a super fan, you're a fucking crazy ass stalker.
Who the hell are
how
you?
did you get in here? Yeah, did you come in here earlier? Were you already in here? Did you put this stuff here? Blah, blah, blah,
how do you know your way around this house so well?
Yeah, like, he's just yelling shit at her, and she just does this lovely smile and fucking, like, jumps him and, like, starts vampire biting his neck.
Yeah, and oh my god, the screaming was so hilarious. She's like, ah! Ah!
He has a very high pitched.
It gave me some very funny,
Yeah.
like, in the fight scene stuff, the way that she's, like, on top of him, and he's like, get off me! And he's running around, you see from the different camera perspectives of them, like,
Yeah.
roughhousing, I was like, oh my god, this is Evil Dead, this is Bruce Campbell slapstick!
It's very much.
And
he ends up getting her in the neck with a piece of wood or something.
yeah, it was like part of the broken chair that was there in the living room when they first walked in.
Gotcha.
And he, like, scrambles away, and he's just like, get up! And grabs it, and right in the side of the neck. And
drops her.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my god, what did I just do? You guys saw it. She attacked me, right? You saw that, right?
I will say this. These are the two, like, I am impressed with, he immediately comes in and it's like, yeah, call the police, I'm turning myself in, like, doesn't go, it was self-defense, like, just straight up confesses and says, I'm
like,
going to prison.
Get the cops here.
Get the cops, get an ambulance. At no point does he try and, like, it was self-defense, she was coming right at me.
He was like, why'd she do that?
She deserved it, yeah, like, he was very, I mean, he took full responsibility, which is...
a little bit of credit you
not,
can give him.
Yeah, well, I was going to say not in his character, not normal for him. And then he takes credit again when he comes out of the room and she's not there. The blood is on the ground, but she's gone.
Her body gone.
Instead of fucking tearing ass out, he tries to check on her. And this is, again, I give him...
she might be alive,
yeah. I give him credit because even if as I am myself, if someone attacks me and I kill them in self-defense and then find out I didn't actually kill them, I probably am not going to see if they're okay. I'm probably going to run away. Maybe that makes me a bad person. But yeah, the monsters in this film, Goreship mentioned it before, but yeah, a lot of Evil Dead vibes. Not just from the way it's filmed, but from the actual monsters that are encountered.
The makeup, the practical effects they used had a very, very old school Evil Dead. Let's say Evil Dead 2. Yeah. Where they were bluish gray deadites. Yeah. The ghost demons, whatever you want to call them, they're kind of a mixture of both. Like she's like a demonic ghost.
It's very strange because Chrissy, he finds a picture of her, and Chrissy, his psycho fan, is actually Mildred.
Yep. He flips it over and it says the year, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And he turns it and it says Mildred and whatever the husband's name was.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, that's Chrissy. I looked at the picture and it didn't look like Chrissy to me, even though it was
just
the same
her hair was longer.
Yeah.
Her hair was longer.
Like, man, I would not have picked up on that at all.
Yeah, she also wasn't smiling in the picture.
I did pick up on it later when the cop shows up, because there's another picture of an old man, and then a cop shows up. That one I picked up on.
That was her daddy.
Yeah, that one I picked up on.
And so it was funny, because I was like, he looked very familiar when he showed up in the little bit of a trailer that I saw. I was like, huh, it's weird. And then, so Chrissy's blood trail is in the house. Yep. And then it just kind of stops. And he's like, where the fuck did she go? Yeah. And this next, I don't know, it was like 15 minutes of just straight, like, being fucked with and tortured and chased around the house is hilarious.
Although I will say this, and this is also a very Bruce Campbell thing, a very Evil Dead Army of Darkness thing. He gets as good as he gives.
Oh, yeah.
Like, these ghosts are not incorporeal. Like, he wails on them. Like, he's beating them up as much as they're beating him up, which I found very, like, very Evil Dead. Like, he's actually able, they're physical beings. He can actually make contact with them and stick cleavers in their heads and push them downstairs. There's a lot of falling downstairs in this film as well. Yeah, I think 4 or 5 tumbles I counted down the stairs between him and monsters he's throwing down the stairs.
Well, like, he falls down the main stairs, he falls down the little attic stair thing that they pulled down.
Well, he throws 2 different monsters down the stairs as well. Yeah. Like, there's a lot of stair falling.
And also, so he gets bit, he's looking for Chris, he's like, fuck this, he starts hearing noises, he runs upstairs to the safety room, he starts trying to clean himself up, and he's like, oh my god, oh, it's so bad, he's just like looking at his wounds and stuff, and he's just like, okay, and he starts like taping it with all that fucking tape that he's got.
Thank God he brought duct tape. He tapes himself up with it like 3 times. And he makes weapons with it. Yeah. The duct tape comes in very handy.
Tapes his little pocket knife to the end of his tripod stick.
Yeah, and at this point I think is when he's in the closet, and he to my knowledge, he reveals the bum mystery. He tells the whole story of how...
You're actually getting a little ahead of yourself.
Am I?
You're getting just a little bit ahead of yourself. There's one part that happens just before this that keeps him in the closet. He's looking at the shit on the camera, and he's looking out in the hall, and he looks...
Are you talking about the hangman?
Yes. Yeah, that's just right before that.
Yeah, that's actually what sends him into the closet.
Yeah, so a noose is hanging from the ceiling. He can see the noose plain as day. Yeah. But when he looks at the camera, someone is hanging from the noose.
Yeah. I liked this whole part.
You're like, this and like that, just holding up camera, and he's like comparing the camera to what he's seeing in front of him, and he's like, oh my god. And he like reaches his hand out, and he's like, wait. And the thing kind of like lunges at him, and he runs into the closet. And that's when he starts confessing to what happened about the bum thing.
I will say this about that section. He could have hopped over the banister and not walked by that hangman's noose, and I would have. No way I'm walking by a ghost that I can only see when my camera's up.
Well, my first thought was, oh, hell no. When you hear those random gurgling noises and claws scraping at the door.
And the creaking.
And then you open it and nothing's there, but you see the noose just kind of swaying. Yeah. And then you can see the ghost literally just kind of like rocking back and forth. Yeah. I was like, nah, homie, you got to get a flamethrower. You got to get jump out a window. Jump out a fucking window. I don't care if you break a leg.
Give it about 3 minutes. So yeah, he hides in the closet. He does his full confession that one of the things he feared was getting beat up. So he paid a bum to fight, like a big muscular bum to fight him. But the bum had a bad heart or something. Yeah. He ended up winning the fight, and the bum ended up going to the hospital or dying. I don't know if he died or not.
He died. Because of his bad heart, and the family sued him. That's why he lost a bunch of money.
So he lost all his sponsors and a bunch of money.
And in this heartfelt confession...
was supposed to be his comeback.
In this heartfelt confession of his true apology, someone says, show the ghost your balls.
And right around then, the ghost's head pops up and goes, guilty, and bites him in the crotch.
No, didn't she say something that was very, very Evil Dead? She's like...
No, she said something like... Because he said something like...
No, she said some very Evil Dead shit. She said, like, "I suck your cock, pretty boy," and then bites him on the balls.
No, I thought she said something about... Because he was talking about the confession.
Oh.
And I thought she was judging. I thought she said, "You're guilty," and like
bit him on the balls,
crotch, something like that. It might have been... It was very fast and angry, so it could have been something else. I may have misheard. But yeah, then she bites him in the crotch, and that's when he goes curtailing out the window, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought, yeah. I've seen so many movies where someone's on the second story, and they're like, "Oh, gotta go back down the stairs." And I'm like, just jump out the fucking window. Break a leg. It's worth it to get the hell out of there. Yeah. And he did it. He did it. Finally, someone fucking did it.
Well, actually, I think we need to get a little bit ahead of ourselves again before the falling out the window thing, because after the ball thing, he does... there was that scene where he tries to walk around it, but then it stops, like the swaying stops, and he watches on camera as the ghost body starts turning towards him, which was a complete ripoff of The Conjuring, if you've ever seen the first Conjuring movie.
I have not seen The Conjuring.
Okay, so the Conjuring movie had the same thing where the wife could see the ghost hanging, and it was swaying, and then when she addressed it, the ghost body just stopped and started turning towards her while being hung. This movie did the same thing. But as soon as he starts to run away, it jumps out of the ceiling and starts fucking jumping on his back and clawing him up and scraping him.
Yeah, I remember them having a fight.
That is what leads to him going out the window. When he's trying to... Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when he finally breaks out the window, and he starts trying to... He wakes up, he's like, I'm alive! Oh, it hurts so bad! And he starts trying to hobble towards his car.
And my first thought was the same thought every single person who watched this movie thought was, yeah, no way you're getting out that easy. He seemed out. He seemed free. Find the spark plugs, put them in the car, get the fuck home. But no.
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. The little jump scare that they had when he was looking for the fucking spark plugs, and he went to go find them, he's like, all right, I found one. He goes walk around that tree, and he goes by, he's like, oh, there's that second one. And it's in the hand of some monster thing that's halfway mutated into the ground.
I called it a...
oh, man, that gave me a good little jump.
I called it a monkey rat gargoyle. But I'm not sure if that's what it was.
Yeah, he starts running. He kicks the thing and grabs the spark plug. He's like, okay.
One of the people said stay down when he was laying on the ground. And just stay down. That's how you win. God. You just stay down. You're done.
Finally gets the spark plugs, but then he runs back to his fucking car.
Yep.
And that's when
he makes the Slim Jim selfie stick.
Yeah. Because the monster...
Words I never thought I'd write down in my entire life. The monster had
started crawling towards him.
Yeah, so he's keeping an eye on it. And then, this was, for me, the funniest scene in the whole movie. It's when they found, his fans found the old lady that lived in that house and put up that symbol that he ripped down. And so, he's alternating. He's got a camera on the monster and a camera... where he's watching this video with the lady. And he keeps switching back and forth. So he'll let the lady talk for a minute. And then he'll look at the monster. And he'll be like, oh, it's closer. And he'll cut back to her. And he'll be like, talk quicker, woman. And I'm like, you know what would help is if you didn't keep pausing that so you could look at the monster. I was crying. It was the funniest scene because the way his voice, he pitched his voice perfectly. Where he knew he was being unreasonable, stopping this old lady to look for the monster, but he couldn't help himself because there's a monster out there. You have to keep an eye on it, and I was crying at that part. And then
when he does hold it out, the monster grabs his Slim Jim selfie cam.
Yeah,
he's like, "Fuck! Do you know how expensive that was? Fuck!"
Yeah, you can't put your fucking selfie stick on a piece of meat. Monsters love meat, you dummy.
And so he's like, all right, I'm gonna book it. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna get out of here. If I die, I love you, Mom. I love you, so and so. I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. He bolts out the car and runs right into the fucking sheriff.
Yep.
He's like, oh, thank God you're here. Thank God you're here. There's a dead woman in there. I'm being attacked. He's like, wait, where's your car? I didn't see any blue lights.
Yeah. Oh, before that though, the old lady basically tells him that like, I wrote "selling your soul for a good hand job." She wrote that like there's this ritual you can perform by drawing a hand on the ground, and it takes a sacrifice, and you can control spirits. Blah 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 blah, and he's like, "Oh, that's the deal. That's the thing that Mildred. That's the deal she made so that she could start capturing souls." This is also where he makes the connection that they're kind of the same, like, because he is always looking for followers, trying to increase his viewership.
He wants people to like him. He wants validation.
And he is under the impression that she is murdering people to get an audience for her poetry. And she's forcing them to recite her poetry over and over again. Because you get like audio of like them reciting her poetry, like Still Pond and
when Chrissy was still Chrissy, he recited her poetry. Didn't know that she was Mildred in disguise. Yeah. Recited her poetry back and basically laughed. What is this shit? No wonder. Yeah, she was awful, and she's like, no, it's good.
Yeah, and she kept trying to get him to recite the poetry. She's like, say some of this. Read some of it. Read some of it out loud.
Why do you want me to read this?
He's like, no, it's garbage.
She's like, it is not garbage. And that's when you saw the crazy in her eyes. You're like,
well, that and when she spouts out Latin, and I'm like, that seems unfortunate. Yeah, she spit out some Latin that she said she used to do at seances when she was a kid, and it just means like, oh, spirits, be at rest, come and talk. And somebody who knows Latin tells him later that it's like, no, she was basically, you were basically reciting something that gave you permission to be possessed.
And, nice. Oh my god, there was one scene that happened to him when they're fighting, when Mildred is full on ghost. Yeah. I know we haven't talked about.
Okay.
But when she shoves her fucking evil dead finger claw up his nose towards his brain.
And he finds the nail.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
So because she's old, she's all rotty and gross at this point. She's like shoving her finger up his nose, and when she pulls it out, her nail is left up there, and he like
pulls it out when he's cleaning himself up.
Oh man!
All right, so
the cop,
he runs into the sheriff, and he's like, like, oh, thank God, I'm saved. I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna be safe. And the cop is like, well, not exactly. And then says his name, and he's like, Sean. He's like, wait, how the hell do you know me? And that's when the sheriff starts like transforming into the ghost, into a different type of like demon ghost. And he's like, wait, I know you, I recognize you. Oh shit. And then he just starts running away. And as he's looking back over his shoulder, you see the sheriff guy slowly, every time he looks back, he's changing.
He's getting rottier.
Yeah.
is the word I use.
Sean's like, rottier. Well, where do I go? Fuck it, I'm gonna run back into the house.
Because what else can you fucking do at this juncture? But yeah, he's this is when he decides, like, this is the chainsaw hand moment from Evil Dead. This is when he decides he's going to fight back. So he takes a cleaver out of the kitchen. He takes a needle from the heroin addicts and fills it with holy water because his mother, a good Catholic woman, gave him a safety kit for the ghost house, and it had a little vial of holy water. So he makes a holy water syringe.
It was a little like exorcism kit that had like a cross and like a little bottle of water and some garlic, like she's fucking vampire.
His mom loves him.
Yeah.
And he like ties a pocket knife on the end of a broom handle.
No, it's a selfie stick.
Oh, I thought it was broom handle.
No, it was the actual selfie stick.
Okay, so he's making all these weapons so that he can fight, and he's going to try and recreate this this hand symbol that the old lady told him about. So
he's got to say the incantation.
Yeah,
a la Bruce Campbell trying to say "Kleptu Barada Nictu Nectai Nicta," whatever that is.
Smarter than Bruce, or able to access Wikipedia. he gets someone to translate it into English, so he can just say the English instead of having to say the weird Latin.
It is just funny, though, when he starts trying to say Latin, he's like, no, this isn't going to work, guys. I need English. I need English.
He's like, find me the English. And they do.
Very quickly, surprisingly.
His audience is...
Also, can we talk
some
about,
of them like him, at least.
Can we talk about how good this man's like hotspot was while having to stream with no Wi-Fi connection? He had just a hotspot?
Mildred did that.
Oh, she gave him Wi-Fi?
She gave him Wi-Fi, so her connection could
She
be
dealt
out
with
there.
having Spectrum come out and set up her internet, and she probably killed the guys from Spectrum after it was set up, probably.
She was, I think she made her phone a Wi-Fi hotspot. You gotta pay extra, but she just made her monthly charges on her T-Mobile plan. But no, it's some supernatural shit. But I really do believe that Mildred helped out because she wanted her shitty poetry out there. She wanted it out there in the world.
I mean, she, in the end, I guess, did kind of get her what she wanted. She got a large platform of people all over the world from the live stream.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So mission accomplished. And this is where Sean says he's probably going to die, but he's sorry about a lot of not just the bum fight where the bum died, but he did a lot of stuff that was insensitive to women, insensitive to every race except white people. That was just, he had basically been a bastard and fucked over a lot of people.
This is where he says, he's like, if I make this out of this alive, I'm dedicating this to the blacks, the gays, the Hispanics.
The Latinos, he like goes through the list. He goes out to fight. And there's a great scene where he's fighting, I think it's Mildred again, old lady Mildred. And he throws garlic at her, and he's like, "Yeah, garlic, bitch." He's like, "Oh no, garlic is bullshit."
And she grabbed him, doesn't
react.
Threw him to the wall and She dug her fingers in the back of his calf.
Garlic is bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, and then when he finally fucking like stabs her a couple times to get her off him, he grabs the thing to pull down the attic, and he goes from the attic. Guess what's waiting for him in the attic? The dead baby thing, the mutated baby.
The son. Like, there's like a 10-year-old boy with a baby in his stomach. Like half in, half out, that's like a mutant thing. I think that was the scariest of all the monsters.
Because it was under the blanket, too, so when they pulled it back, you're like, oh, fucking kids! And then the kid attacked him.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because he's talking to the kid. He's like, hey, we can both agree your mom's crazy, right? Maybe you and me should team up. And I'm like, did you think that was going to work? And of course it doesn't. The kid turns on him and also tries to eat him.
Yeah, he's fighting that, and he fucking winds up backhanding the thing off of him, and he runs out of the room just to be encountered by the sheriff guy ready to grab him.
Yep.
And so he's like, no, and throws him down the stairs like you were mentioning.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and then you hear click, and he's like, oh, he's alive! Turns around, he gets pushed down the stairs.
Yep.
God,
and this is this where he wakes up in the bathtub?
Yes.
Okay, so he gets knocked out. And at first, I thought they were doing his light went out thing. Because, like, you know, that tired old trope where, oh, my light's not working. Yeah. But actually, I'm not sure the connection. Like, through the magic of Mildred and the fact that he recited this incantation and gave them permission to fuck with him, he's actually gone blind. When he opens his eyes, they're just white. Like,
he's like, "Is it cum? Oh my god, is it cum?"
He thinks he's gone blind, and he's Mildred's like taken control of him. So he's like in the bathtub. He's like, "Oh, it feels good." There's like an eyeball in the bathtub. He just pops it in his mouth, but he keeps trying to shake Mildred off. And he finally does, and he gets his sight back. Like his eyes clear up. He jumps out of the bathtub. I thought that was going to be I thought the end of it was just going to be him like drowning in the bathtub, because the whole thing about the still water, the still pond. Yeah. One of her poems was talking about how the water doesn't move, and I thought she was just going to drown him until the water was still, and that's what the poetry was about. And
we failed to mention that earlier when we talked about him going to the bathroom. Yeah. When he was in the bathroom,
it's filled. Yeah, the bathtub's filled with black water,
and it smells awful.
Yeah,
according to him, it smells fucking awful.
That's where someone else died. And yeah, they come back. The big bloated corpse that he ends up like, fighting with the shower curtain.
Yeah.
And like this man utilizes every piece of the house to fight back.
I mean, for Christ's sake, he found a dirty syringe.
Yeah, it fills it with holy water.
Yeah.
It's good.
Which that was cool when he used it and it came in clutch. And he was like, oh yeah, bitch, and it's like burned.
He's like, garlic is bullshit, but holy water works.
And there was one funny thing that whenever he was like, it's like, that's not how this works. Wait, no. And I was like, I don't understand why these movie tropes where people think that ghosts and demons are going to obey these magical set rules that they created.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the ghosts never said that there was rules to this. They're going to do what the fuck they want. But you think that, like, hey, that's not how this works. That's not the rules. There are no rules.
I would tell the ghost, though, like, when you kidnap someone, always take away their hypodermic needles. Always. You don't know what's in those things. Just take them away. I know you think you're immortal because you're a monster from hell, but take away their hypodermic needles.
And you know what's funny?
Just to be safe.
At the beginning of this fight, when he sets out with his fucking little spear cam and his cleaver and his syringe, he's like, oh wait, grabs his boom box and he has to have the dramatic music playing the whole time he's fighting the ghost.
Yeah.
Because, like, why not? He's like, I gotta have my own theme music playing.
Look, you gotta get pumped up. Like when you go to the gym to work out, you got to get pumped up when you're going to fight monsters.
Essentially, he's like, I got to have my WWE intro music playing while I fucking kill monsters.
Yeah. So the safe room, which was Mildred's room, is where he's drawn this like symbol, and Mildred chases him into that room, and she thinks she sees him hiding behind a desk, but then when she goes around, it's just his pants. And he smacks her from behind with, basically fucking hits her with a chair, a la like wrestling. Yeah. And like fucking breaks a wooden chair over the back of her head, duct tapes her down on top of the symbol to do the ceremony.
Like it's gonna hold her in place.
Yeah. And first of all, that man got his pants off in record time.
Yeah, right.
Like that was impressive.
With the shoes on. The shoes on.
Yeah, and the shoes. That was impressive as fuck. Like, tighty whities, less impressive. But, man, getting undressed that quick.
I like that he was like, I gotta get my pants back. I do like that he's like, I gotta put these back on.
Yeah, I need those pants.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. The little ritual does not work because, like you said, you don't get to make up the rules. There's a set way this is done, and he's just going off like a 45-second conversation with an old lady, and that was not enough. So he is lost. This poor boy is lost. So, I don't know how he remembered. Oh, he finds the finger. In
the jewelry box.
Yeah, there was a jewelry box, and inside it was a finger. And he realizes it was Mildred's finger.
And that's how it keeps her tethered to the house.
Yes. And the reason the symbol is a hand is because the thing you have to sacrifice is a finger. He picked his middle one because he likes flipping people off. So he has to take the cleaver out of Mildred's head because he had shoved it in her.
With all that nasty black blood.
Yeah, he put it in her head to keep her still long enough for him to do the ritual. So he takes it out. He takes it out of her head, chops his finger off, and lo and behold, it looks like the ritual works. She gets sucked into, I think, the same grate his keys fell in earlier, and there's a big blood explosion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which, man, nice.
Yeah, that was, again, super Evil Dead of them, and I thought, like, well, at least he didn't take the whole hand, because that would be a complete ripoff of Bruce Campbell, you know.
Yeah, just a finger.
Yeah, fingers, though.
We're a bit like Evil Dead. We're one finger worth of Evil Dead.
Yeah. And so he's like, oh, it's finally over.
Starts talking to his fans, playing his outro song.
He's like, and I did it, and I overcame the spear, and I showed everyone. And he's like, no, I just gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, the keys. So he goes to that grate that just had blood pouring out of it. He's like, okay, the keys are still there. He's like, gotta get this open. And he finally starts getting open. But then, what happens? More noises start popping up again.
Yeah, and he's like, that's not cool.
He's like, wait, that's not how this goes. Wait,
I
won.
This. Yeah.
He's like, no, I won. And so he finally gets the grate open, gets the keys. He's like, fuck you, I'm out. Unlocks the door. As soon as he unlocks the door and opens it to run,
it's Gargoyle Monkey Rat.
He's like, no! Gets tackled to the ground, and once again gets a finger up the nose.
Yeah, and it turns out, and here's what I think happened. Goreship, you can give me your theory, but all the things that show up at that point are everyone except Mildred. All the other things that had stalked him. And it made me think that he had successfully gotten rid of Mildred, but all the other people that she captured were still there.
Yes, exactly.
So he got rid of one, and the rest of them came to fuck his shit up.
The reason why they came to fuck him up is because he's the new Mildred. He is the new Wrangler by expediting her from this world and basically performing the exorcism to banish her. Mm-hmm. He took Mildred's place. He is now the one that is basically keeping the souls. Because he is the one that did the incantation. The souls that were trapped to the house, he is now tethered to.
Well, I like the idea that they were like, oh, well, we gotta do what Mildred says. But then they all kind of whispered to themselves, like, I think we can take this guy.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, Mildred was dead too. She had powers.
Yeah. Here's what I wonder, though. It's after they kill him, does he just become an undead Mildred, and then they've got to work for him again, because they can't kill him at that point.
Well, find out on Deadstream 2 if there is one.
If there's a Deadstream 2.
That'd be hilarious.
Shudder.
That would be hilarious, because...
Your job.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too. I was like, wait a minute, why the hell did they go after him? Like, they kind of just like looked at him and then went after him?
Yeah. And I would have thought it was like, hey, you got rid of Mildred, thanks a lot. But I thought they would have been giving him high fives.
No, they're pretty much like, oh, fuck, we got a new slave master? Fuck this.
Maybe if we kill him, we'll be free.
Yeah.
They're trying anything. Their brains are rotted, they don't know.
If they make him dead like them, he's stuck in the house with that power now.
Yeah, that seems like a bad move. But I understand your brains are mostly mush at this point. You're not thinking clearly.
It was a nice little not so happy ending, but like still funny way to go out with it, because it leaves it open ended.
Yeah,
I mean, you can interpret it as like, oh, he's dead, he died, or you can interpret it as like, well, he now owns several souls at this haunted house. Maybe he's still alive. We'll never know because the feed cuts out.
It'd be funny, like the next video, he's like on the throne and they're just carrying him around on a dais, and he's like, "I love these guys. They work for me now.
I might have lost a finger, but it was worth it. I have loyal subjects
and a new theme song." Speaking of which, you heard our new theme song coming in. If all goes according to plan, and you're going to hear it again when we go out. I had one final question. As always, at the end of these shows, I always have at least one. On Comic Dissection, we call it the big question. Here, it's just a fucking question. But one thing that I think this movie was trying to impart to us, one of its, you could say it had 3 or 4 different themes and morals, but one that I particularly wanted to kind of delve into quickly was the impassivity of audiences when it comes to the internet, and why it is that we view people on the internet as not real. Like, when you're watching a live stream of someone on the internet, you don't feel bad typing in "kill yourself" or fucking horrible shit. Like, there were people in his audience who were supportive, who were like, "Hey man, get out of there, you're in trouble." But it seemed like about half of them, and these are quote-unquote his fans, people that subscribed, that wanted to be update when a new video drops. They liked and subscribed, they hit that bell. These people who supposedly like him had nothing but bad shit to say to him most of the time. What is it that takes away our humanity through a fucking screen? Like, why does that happen? What's the psychology there?
I feel like it's probably not a definitive answer, but I feel
we're guessing.
My
These
guess,
are shots in the dark.
Yeah, my guess, as a not trained psychologist or
that's what I want.
Socioeconomist, would be that it's the comfortability in anonymity, the 6 degree separation of not feeling consequence for our words, because it's like the internet. Despite you have a profile picture, it can be a fake profile picture, a fake avatar.
Sure.
You have this sense of quote-unquote anonymity of protection that's like looking through to a mirror. Like, the person that is on display can, not see us, but everyone else in the room can see them. And we can talk as much shit through the fucking mirror to them in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
But they can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, there's this weird fucked up mentality of like being comfortable in anonymous harassment. There's some type of like sick pleasure that some people will get out of it. They call themselves fans, but in reality they just hate watch.
Yeah.
And you can't really call yourself a fan. Like, yes, they watch everything you do, but it's not to support you. It's literally to criticize
tear it down.
And just mock you and ridicule you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like wrestling fans. Wrestling fans are the same way. They will watch all these different things, and then out of all the things that they watch, they'll just tear every single one of them down, not finding any good in any of it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like all these people who, like, oh, I'm going to watch all these new shows that are trending. I fucking hate all these new shows that are trending.
Yeah.
This actor is a piece of shit. Even though that actor isn't known for any controversies, they may be a really nice person.
They're reading the script they were given, man. Like,
you know, like, I just don't get it. Like, look,
even if they're acting bad, I don't think you should want to kill them. Like, I remember when Solo.
Oh man, I try to forget that exists.
Not Solo. Obi-Wan Kenobi, although also Solo.
No, Obi-Wan Kenobi, great. Solo,
and the lady that played the head antagonist in that, and how so many people didn't like her acting, and which is fine. That's neither here nor there. You cannot like a black woman's acting and not be racist. But what you can't do is, because you don't like their acting, send them death threats and want them to die. That is you very well and good overreacting to stimulus. In a way, that makes me think, yeah, maybe you are a little racist.
Yeah.
If you're trying to lynch someone because they aren't acting well in your made-up universe.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's the same thing happened, you know.
You can be a fan without being a fucking monster.
You know, the second Star Wars movie had the Asian actress who played a character named Rose, Margaret Chang.
Okay.
And she got so much flack that, you know, she had to leave social media because she just took an acting gig that she was super happy about, but the quote-unquote die-hard fans basically told her she wasn't wanted, she should go kill herself, that her character needed to not exist, and neither did she in real life. Like, what kind of fucked up fandom is that?
Fandom's why we can't have nice things.
You know, it's just as demented as people, you know, that I train with at wrestling, and for the sake of, you know, anonymity, I'm not going to say names.
Let's call them all Charlie.
Let's call him Mark. Let's call him, because they're a smart Mark.
Oh, smart.
You know, they love wrestling. They're doing it just like me. They watch it a lot. Difference between us is I don't see a wrestler that I dislike, whether it's for in-ring work or their character, and be like, I hope he breaks his fucking neck. There are guys that I have literally trained with who's like, man, I wish that dude would just fucking drop dead. I wish that dude's concussions would get so bad he doesn't wrestle anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Dude, that's how that dude feeds his family.
Yeah, I was like, you cannot like him, don't fucking watch him.
Not to mention that unless you're like one or two wrestlers on a promotion, you're not getting more than like 10 or 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Like, it's a 2-hour show, dude. Don't have someone die because 10 or 15 minutes of it were not entertaining to you. Like, okay, you don't like Roman Reigns, or fucking, you don't like fucking Dean Ambrose,
and
or whatever his name is on AEW now.
Yeah, John Moxley.
I could get there.
It's
if you don't like some of the mean guys on one of the brands, or one of the other brands, there's some guy on New Japan you hate.
Telling Roman he should have died from his leukemia.
Like, that's insane.
Like, just because you don't like a fictional character. Fictional.
Yeah.
They are a TV-made character. They are not the real person. They use a fake fucking name.
Yeah.
Versus their real name. Joe Inoue is not Roman Reigns. They are two different fucking human beings.
And they both probably have a right to live and wrestle.
Yeah.
I dare say.
And it's the same thing with celebrities on the internet. Look, I'm not a fan of the Paul brothers.
Oh,
I am not a fan of the Paul brothers.
No.
By any fucking means. Neither of us are.
No.
I don't think any in our friend circle are fans of them.
No.
But I'm not going on the internet and saying, man, I fucking hope that, you know, Logan Paul dies in the wrestling ring.
Nope.
Or I hope that Jake Paul gets hit so hard in the face that he seizes up.
Nor am I sending them death threats.
Yeah, I'm not going out of my way to fucking put this vitriol out just because they're doing some shit that I don't like. You know what? It's very simple. Don't fucking watch.
Save that and your guillotines for the 1%. I agree with you, sir. And the only thing I would add is that another thing, another aspect to this, and there's probably hundreds of others that we aren't touching on that make it easy to fuck with people on the internet, is that you don't, like, no one is their real self on the internet. so it's similar to what you were talking about, the two-way mirror, but it's like you're not only separated from the person that you're fucking with, you're separated from yourself.
Yep.
Because the person you are on Facebook, on Instagram, even if you try and make it you, it's not you. It's 1/1,000,000th of 1% of who you are. It's the 2 pictures you post a day and that 1 meal you ate at that nice restaurant. Like, that's not you. Therefore, it's not me telling so-and-so to die. It's not me doing that. It's this
Internet
avatar.
persona?
It's my avatar. Yeah. Like, and I think those 2 things, and probably tons of other stuff, but those 2 things are 2 of the main factors that allow people to be shitty on the internet. And if you're listening to this podcast, try not to. Try and tone that down a bit if you could.
There's no need for edgelords anymore in this day and age. Like,
we don't need edgelords. You know what? The Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is coming out. Cloud will be in it. Cloud's the only edgelord I need in my life. Him and Sephiroth can be my edgelords all day and all night. Fictional edgelords are fine. Real life edgelords and avatar internet edgelords are not. They're pains in my royal ass.
Outlandish comments for the sake of, getting a rise out of people.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so anything else you need to say about Deadstream? I thought it was great. Thank you for bringing it to my attention.
I really enjoyed it. I was really happy that it popped up right as I renewed my Shudder subscription, and I'm very happy that I got Shudder.
Oh yeah, we should mention this is available on Shudder. It's a Shudder exclusive. It's a movie that they sponsored. It even says Shudder right at the beginning.
Yeah. And it's another one of those things where another studio or a streaming service didn't want to pick it up. But Shudder's like Netflix. They're the Netflix of horror movies.
You do horror? We'll take horror.
Yeah. They're like, we think this is good enough to get an audience. And you know what? Deadstream definitely got an audience in me.
And it was good enough.
I had to recommend it to Reno because he and I share a somewhat similar taste in these horror genres. Like we both love Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is fucking hilarious, and that's what made me think of Deadstream. Let's end the
one of
year
my top 3 zombie movies.
Yeah, gotta end it. Our last podcast of the year, starting into the new year on a very fun high note.
Absolutely.
And so it makes me happy to know that you enjoyed it as much as you did.
Yes, and next month,
what you got for us?
We're doing a movie that we should have done this month, just because it's kind of a Christmas movie. This is one that you've probably seen. I've seen it 1,000,000 times. It's one of my top 3 favorites of all time, but it's going to be super fun to watch it again, to reconnect, and watch it with you, and take notes. Next month, that'll be at the end of January, we are going to be watching and reviewing Gremlins.
Yes!
One of the classic 80 films of all time. One of my absolute favorite, and I'm doing a horror podcast. I need something with little monsters. We're doing it next month. Gremlins
1, not Gremlins 2.
Yeah, that'll be the month after when I pick again. No, I'm just kidding. Although, I'll be honest, I did not hate Gremlins 2. I didn't hate it. And if this show goes long enough, we may do Gremlins 2. But until then, we're signing off. Judgmental Horror Junkies, this is Reno, Dino, Valentino, and Goreship. Adios and sayonara.